Hi, my name's Laura Lewis-Paul. I'm the founder and creative director for Saffron Records. Saffron Records is a music tech initiative, and we support women into the music tech industry through education and training opportunities. So we will teach women to DJ, produce music, engineer, so all of the tech roles behind making music. One of the real reasons for setting Saffron up, specifically working with gender and looking for gender equality, was because I worked with a group of young people, and there was sort of a 50-50 split of male to female in this group, and we went to real world studios, and there was maybe 2 women that worked there and the rest were men. And I said to the young women that I was working with, how do you feel about going into an industry that is very male dominated? And they felt like it was actually a really positive thing, because they felt like they would be seen in that space. At which point my heart sank, because for me as a black woman, I know that that's not true. I know that you have to work 50 times, 100 times more to be seen in those spaces. That was the starting of Saffron. So I would say that my journey into becoming a director was not necessarily a traditional one. I struggled a lot in mainstream education as I am dyslexic, so found I wasn't able to achieve in the same way that some of my peers were. So I left school with 3 GCSEs, which at the time you feel like you're a failure, and you feel like you weren't able to do what maybe some of your peers were doing. And that 3 GCSEs still really, even though I'm a director and founder of a company, I'll still come back to sometimes that I've only got 3 GCSEs. However, I actually think that through being dyslexic and through having some of those challenges thrown at you in those earlier years is really important for growth, because you don't always feel like it's necessary to follow those traditional paths. So I did my GCSEs at college, and I then went on to study at university, which was a really big achievement for me to be able to get into university. And I studied fashion and realised that it wasn't necessarily the industry that I wanted to go into. However, felt really important that I completed my degree so that I didn't continue with that feeling of failure from my 3 GCSEs. So I took a year out and decided to come back and do the degree in a way that suited me, which was to look at the psychology behind fashion and how people interact with clothing. So after university, I worked a lot within the charity and youth sector and worked creatively with young people, and realised that was really a passion for me. One of the really big feelings in starting my own company was that I knew that I couldn't work for anyone else. I find authority a really difficult thing to deal with, and when you have so much passion and drive for something, to then pass that over to somebody else and to fulfill their dreams, that didn't quite make sense for me. So I knew that I needed to start my own company, and it was really then starting to look at how and what it was that I do. So music has always been a passion for me, and looking at the music industry and music tech industry specifically, it felt like there was a massive need for recreating that community, recreating that industry, because there's only 5% of women within that space, and I feel like that really impacts how the industry works as a whole. What I love about my job is that it is so creative. Literally, my day-to-day will be so different, and I think that that's what I really need to feel stimulated. And the people that I work with, not necessarily just the artists, but our staffing team here, everyone's very creative, sensitive, thoughtful. So it just creates a very inviting and dynamic space to work within. I think also it's about being challenged, and running your own business is so challenging, and positively challenging, I feel, because you don't have other options. It's not like you've got a base to fall back on. You have to make it work. So there's a lot of sort of creative problem solving, which is something that I love, and also in terms of being dyslexic, something where I actually thrive, and that's an area that I can go, this I can really help with. So my job as the company director is very much about the strategy. So we have a 20-year strategy, which I can then pass on to my team so they can then put that into place for the next 5 years. So strategy, and then also social impact. So I look at how we are impacting, the industry by the work that we're offering. So how many people are we working with a year? How does that then change specific company that we are working with? By having lots of DJs in a city, how does that change the space of the nightlife scene? Does that mean that it's safer for more women to come out into those spaces? So I'm constantly sort of evaluating the work that we're doing and then being able to report that back to our sort of stakeholders. And it's a lot of supporting staff. So we have a project manager here, and she does a lot of the day-to-day management, and I'm here to support her needs. So and the kind of HR and running of how people are feeling within the company, and that everyone's happy in the work that they're doing, and that workloads are being managed, budgets, finance. Those are not something that I've enjoyed, especially with my dyslexia. I find that really challenging, but essential to know what's going on within your business, especially when it comes down to the finances. So I think if someone was wanting to start their own company, I would say that the skills needed are definitely around planning and strategy. So being able to see yourself in 5, 10 years, 50 years, and then being able to work your way backwards from that point. And then also being able to recognize your weaknesses and being able to look at your strengths, and then being able to allow somebody to support you with your weaknesses. I think often people find asking for support quite difficult. That has been something that has definitely fueled me in my career path, is being able to ask for support, and also mentorship. So looking for people that you aspire to sort of be around and, value their work ethic, and asking them to support you on your journey as well. But yeah, resilience, optimism are really big players in being able to keep your company on that path and not feeling like those failures are failures, but seeing them as learning and growth opportunities. So in terms of getting a job in music tech, I wouldn't say that having a degree is important. I would say that there's so many informal ways in which you can learn and understand the software. So as long as you have access to those, I think that you can do it through there. You can do it through YouTube tutorials. And, with Saffron, what we do is that we really offer opportunities. So that kind of alternative education we offer to women specifically by doing online courses, online workshops, and really creating that network so that there's opportunities for them to do peer-to-peer learning as well. In terms of university can offer other positive aspects, which is around your network of people that you are able to connect with there. So say then if you were to study music production at university, then you are constantly able to collaborate in that space with your peers. I think in terms of being a director of the company, I wouldn't say that university has played a massive part in what I am doing. I feel like, again, the network of people that I've known has been really positive in my growth. But I don't think university, my fashion degree has not helped me to be a director of a music tech company. So in terms of on-the-job training, I feel like that's actually a really positive way to get into the industry. So when we started Saffron, we had 2 apprentices, and they were really willing and able to not only have an education at that time because they're doing their training at a college, but they're also able to work and understand a small company and how that company runs, and they're also able to network with those people that they want to get into the industry with. So apprenticeships, I think, are, I would argue, the most positive way to get into the music industry and music tech industry. What apprenticeships could really offer is a way to diversify the industry as a whole. You know, I feel like in this day and age, it's really open as to how you get into those industries. And, you know, you can do it through Instagram, you can do it through, you know, meeting people in online events. You know, there's multiple ways in which that can happen now. And I think it's about getting yourself known and seen in those spaces. In terms of, I would say, the electronic music industry, so for DJs, for producers, what we really want to do is to create a space where they're able to have that platform where we can share their music, where we can look for gigs for them to DJ at. So in terms of that, we really look for partners, we look for event promoters that we can team up and connect our 2 networks together, really. If I could give advice to my younger self, I think it would be to not be so harsh on myself. I think we really beat ourselves up, and I think to take failure and to put failure in a space as a learning opportunity, because those 3 GCSEs, they don't matter, and I think it's to be able to overcome some of those things that can feel difficult at the time. And to maybe help those to propel you and to think about, you know, that in your journey and how that can help others on their paths as well.